I think like most new Monster Hunter players, I got my start with the series playing Monster Hunter World. I wouldn't say I'm a hardcore fan of the series, but enough to justify spending $30 on a Monster Hunter apron from fangamer.com. What I like about the Monster Hunter series is the hunt. It is very satisfying to take on a large dinosaur-like monster for no apparent reason other than because it profits. And all that profit goes towards decking out my guy. I also love traversing around the environments and collecting resources to craft into bullets, potions, and other gear. Now, Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin takes all that is unique about Monster Hunter, but turns it into a JRPG and monster collectathon, much like Pokemon. I didn't have much expectations from this game other than hoping it would just be fun, and honestly, this game does not disappoint. Although, before we do start, I do want to point out that this video will contain major spoilers. Also, please know that this review is for the gameplay and story of the main quest line. There is a post-game when you beat the story, but I'm not covering much about that, nor will I really be talking about the multiplayer. Instead of playing as a hunter like in the main series, you play what is known as a rider. Riders do what their title intends. They ride monsties. So rather than profiting off a hunt, they bond with their monsties, as they call them, using what is known as a kinship stone. I don't really understand why the stones control the monsties the way they do. They just kind of do, I guess. I kind of kept relating it to those tentacle hair things from James Cameron's Avatar. So that's where my mind went, at least. I have not played the first game in the story series, so I'm a bit in the dark about the events of the Black Blight, which is from the first game. Luckily, Stories 2 doesn't really require you to know much from the first game, which is really good for newcomers like myself. In fact, the Black Blight is referenced throughout the game, but it's more of a side note than a main topic of discussion. What is a main topic of discussion is that throughout all the lands, these pits are popping up. Or should I say they're digging down? I guess the correct term is that they're opening. Yeah, that's probably it. These pits are opening out throughout the land, and they're emitting this red, mysterious light that's causing monsters to go crazy. Not only that, but the guardian Rathalos that used to watch over Mahana Village, the village in which you, the protagonist, are from, has vanished, leaving Edna, this Waverian girl, with a mysterious Rathalos egg. And of course, because you are the grandchild of the legendary rider Red, who rode the Guardian Rathalos, it is up to you to take on his mantle and find out what the hell is going on with these pits and try to figure out the meaning behind this Rathalos egg. So rather than kicking back and eating Funyuns all day, you actually have to do something. What is cool about being the MC is that you get to fully customize their facial features. I will note that it is a bit limited in comparison to the main series, but it's decent in like a anime way if you're into that. The Rathalos egg you obtain is all connected to these strange phenomenons. Shocker. And according to an ancient prophecy, the egg is to birth a Rathalos that will bring about the end of the world. But because you're a rider who has bonded with him, and you've even given him a cool nickname like Ratha, you do not want to believe that he is this bloodthirsty killer that everyone is saying he is. Now, who is everyone, you ask? Well, literally everyone you meet has their concern about your pet Ratha, but the main threat to Ratha is the Hunters Guild, whose goal is to capture Ratha before he ends the world. There's also a group of riders who are actually a doomsday cult. Their goal is to capture Ratha so that he will trigger the world-ending events. They hope that the end of the world will birth a new society because they just think humans suck. Which is true. We do suck. However, as we venture on in the story, we learn that even the prophecy, which has been passed down from generations to generations, might have been misinterpreted. In fact, you learn that this prophecy was actually only half the story.
All we have here is the image on the wall. It is up to the beholder to interpret it as they will.
Now, I don't really want to give a play-by-play of the entire story because I would have preferred you guys just to go out and pick this game up yourself rather than me narrating every moment. I could do that, but I just don't want to. I will note that this game does feature a very large amount of unnecessary dialogue, and the jokes are, well, cringy. Backstories are great and all, but if they're unnecessary to the plot, why bother? And if they don't even add much to the world they encompass, then it's probably best that writers just skip over minor details. Like, did we really need a backstory on why Avina named her monster Frostfang? I mean, who cares? God, and the worst person guilty of unnecessary dialogue is this little shit.
It's me, the legendary feline Naviru! We eat jobs like this for breakfast! I bet the two of you are totally jealous. If you really don't know about donuts, how come you don't go nuts? Hello? I told you that before, right? Did you take me for a liar?
Yes.
I hate Naviru. Whoever did the directing for the English voice dub had to have been a fan of Scrappy Doo. You know, Scrappy Doo, that small, over-talkative nephew of Scooby-Doo. He had quotes like puppy power and other things, I think. I'm kind of baffled as to why even bother introducing a character like him. I mean, I get that I'm a silent protagonist, but Edna is always with me, so she can kind of speak for me if needed. Plus, Naviru's dialogue and energy is always high, and he interrupts the flow of the emotions that are being laid upon us, the viewers. I notice he's used to sort of over-explain details in case, the person playing didn't get what's going on. I mean, it is an E+10 game, so maybe they were worried that kids would be lost. I also hate how hard they try to make Naviru cool and likable. I mean, he eats donuts and turns to Super Saiyan. We get it, developers. He's cool. He's Goku cool, okay? Jesus. Come to think of it, why does he turn Super Saiyan? I mean, it was so non-essential to the plot. Again, writers, why bother? The characters besides Naviru aren't really all that bad. I mean, I really, really like this Doomsday Cult leader. He's just so freaking insane. I just find it hilarious of how ridiculous he sounds. I mean, who the fudge wants the end of the world to proceed and to create an entire cult of writers for it? That's just insane, man. Too much, Capcom. Too much. But please don't stop. Broham Naruto is probably my favorite character in this game because of this quote alone. That, and he doesn't give me unnecessary long backstory like Avina over here. Kyle's kind of your cliche, monsters done killed my daddy, I'll never forgive them type of hunter. He's okay. He's quiet at least. I like that. Edna is just kind of there. I mean, she's important, but I don't really know why she's important. I don't know, she didn't really strike me as relevant to the story. Although I will say it was the Guardian Rathlos who gave her the egg in which Ratha hatched from. So I guess if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have been recruited to finish my grandpa's investigation of these pits. But that's all I guess she was, is a catalyst to make the plot go forward. Not that that's bad, it's just, I don't know, there could have been more to her. I guess you can say that toward the end, she plays an important role, but that was more of, quick plot convenience than actual help. I do like Alwyn. He's a Wavirian who has a severe cat allergy, but he tries his best to stay cool and collect when he's around them, only to go in like a giant sneeze fest. Like I said, the jokes in this game were kind of a hit and miss with me. A lot of cringy antics, but for some reason, Alwyn's sneezing just hit the right notes of comedy for me. As an added bonus for players who have played the first game, you will note that some of these characters were in fact in the original game, but just younger. Now they're all grown up, doing adult things like paying taxes and trying to manage a full-time job. Well, Lilia is. I don't know what Cheval is up to. Get a job, loser. Even though I didn't play Stories 1, I do appreciate the developers including some continuity because it makes the world feel more evolving and engaging. Going into gameplay, I thought this game was going to be a straightforward JRPG. But it took a spin on the classic turn-based combat most JRPGs are known for. By turn-based, I mean you attack, they attack, you attack, they attack, rinse and repeat. Wings of Ruins doesn't just stick to that formula, but they add new ways to play. Instead of choosing from a list of attacks, you have a choice of power attacks, technical attacks, and speed attacks. Your opponent can also choose between those three attacks as well. As you can see, the battles look like a standard JRPG format. However, notice this orange line between you and your opponent. That line means your opponent is going to attack you directly, and it's up to you to guess which of these 3 movesets they're going to use. Think of it like rock, paper, scissors. Paper crushes rock while scissors cuts paper, only to have rock smash scissors. So yeah, you have to guess which of these movesets will cancel out your opponent's attack so you can deal the damage against them. It was very overwhelming for me at first, but once I got the hang of it, I did just fine. Kind of. In fact, I actually found myself enjoying this system because I really like the idea of canceling out my opponent's attacks, because that means I deal damage and they don't. I will admit the combat does start to drain you. I mean, having to constantly guess your opponent's next move becomes a bit frustrating, because if you guess wrong, you could be dealt a huge amount of damage. And some of these bosses are very OP'd. Mind you, each monster you face does have a pattern of attack, but this game is littered with different types of monsters that I found myself forgetting which fighting pattern belongs to which monster. Plus, I would say that this is not really a eating-friendly JRPG. The combat throws these quick-time events at you, so if you're eating a meatball sub, you have the choice of either taking damage while finishing your meal or putting down the sub in order to win the duel. With a game like Dragon Quest, I can finish the entire croque monsieur while going for a slice of cheesecake, and I apologize if I mispronounce croque monsieur. One of my main gripe with the combat is that you can't really control your buddies, as the game calls them. You can only control you and your monsties. If you're familiar with JRPGs, you know you have full control over everyone on your team, creating more room for strategies. I hate this because it means I can't have one character act as a healer, meaning I have to use my writer's turn to heal the entire party, while this dude just does whatever they want. It's like playing a PvP game with a bunch of Leroy Jenkins. Is that still a thing? Do people still know about Leroy Jenkins? Am I old? Probably. You can swap out buddies in the post-game, but I haven't really played the post-game yet. I'll get to it eventually. When you fight a monster for the first time, you're going to spend probably the first half of the battle experimenting with trial and error. Mostly error if you're me. You can kind of tell which monster prefers power attacks over speed attacks based on how they look, but looks can be deceiving. There's also a change up in how monsters take damage. In normal JRPGs, you attack your opponent and they lose HP. In this game, that's still present, however, you also have to break a monster's body part. Like the rock and paper scissors mechanics, having to constantly break a monster's parts does start to drag. I'd recommend taking a good long break before jumping into another boss battle, maybe do a collectathon side quest, or I don't know, take a tea break, watch some birds, catch up on the latest Marvel What If. My best strategy when fighting was to constantly focus on trying to fill this kinship meter. What that does, it allows you and your monsters to create a full bond, which means you can ride the monster, hence living up to the title as a rider. It also allows you to use your monstie's kinship attack, which deals a great amount of damage. If someone in your party also fills up their kinship meter, you two can perform a double kinship attack. The battle cutscenes showing off your kinship attacks are outstanding. Each animation is unique to the monster you collect, so some animations might be a bit more whimsical and kooky, while others are more flashy and aggressive and full of explosions. What also helped in battle was utilizing various items you collect, craft, and bought along the way. In fact, when playing this game, or really any RPG for that matter, don't be me. I'm notoriously guilty of forgetting about my items in my inventory, or not even reading what an item does, which can be very crucial to my survival in this game. Case in point, when you hit 0 HP during a battle, you lose a heart. Lose all 3 and it's game over. Now, I knew you could restore the heart meters by eating a heart churro, but I noticed I couldn't eat one during battle and can only eat one when I'm in the overworld. Like the dumbass I am, I did not read a certain item called Vital Essence until the near end of the game when I was facing off against a Nergigante. See, what Vital Essence does, it restores your hearts during a battle, which is a very useful item that is a must when fighting a boss. Don't be an idiot like me, use your freaking Vital Essence. Okay, I know what you're all thinking. When is he going to get to the monster collecting part? Well, I'm going to talk about that right now. Collecting monsters is probably the main reason why I bought this game. I haven't played a monster collectathon in years, so I'm excited to engage in it. And honestly, I'm not disappointed. The monster collecting part of this game can be addicting and really encourages exploration. When it comes to naming virtual pets in games, I like to pick a theme for each game I play. This game I chose to name all my monsties after fast food restaurants. Although at one point I kind of ran out of fast food names and just started naming them after local restaurants or any place I knew that sold food. But hey, I got to name a poison monstie after Domino's because everyone knows that shit is toxic. This game is truly a gotta catch 'em all type of game, and you can capture some sick looking monsties. Not to mention, some of these eggs you gather are really well designed and fun to look at. I'm really grateful that the game includes a Monsterpedia or Pokédex, if you will. This really helped me because when I'm stealing eggs from a monster den, and if I'm only focused on getting new monsties, I didn't really have to worry about accidentally duplicating a monster. The animation for hatching eggs is actually pretty fun to watch and really makes you feel excited to see who's inside. You can also use your monsties in the overworld, and each monstie has a unique ability that can be used to unlock other areas of the overworld. Some monsties can swim to islands, some monsties can rock smash, fly, dig, and so on. As much as I love the freedom of open world games, I do kind of like it when open world games limit areas to explore until you have the right item, or in this case, the right monster. That encourages me to explore more, but also allows me to look forward to what lies behind closed doors. It's really the mystery of what's behind this and how do I get there that's really enticing. Overall, I would say I did enjoy this game. Even though it had some frustrating moments, I still managed to stick through and learn new ways to tackle the same problem, only to redeem a pleasurable outcome. Yes, there were a lot of repetitive moments and some unnecessary dialogue, but the moment that did shine really stood out. Moments like learning how to tame Ratha's powers so he doesn't become a threat, and moments like Kyle the Hunter coming in terms with trusting monsters even though Rathalos killed his father. All of that was very good character development, and I think the developers did a good job showing it. Overall, the story is good. It's a bit slow at first, but after you leave Quan Village, it really does pick up. Now, I wouldn't say that the writing is like Blade Runner good, but it's more like first seasons of the CW's Flash good. It's campy and fun, but still tugs at an emotional chord. If you want to get into Monster Hunter, I recommend starting with World, but I wouldn't sleep on Wings of Ruins simply because of the world building elements it adds to the franchise. Usually my first instinct is to rate this out of 10 or give it some sort of A or F. But I won't do that because my philosophy is that a 10 to me might be a complete 0 to you and vice versa. So I'll let you decide. Did you enjoy this game, or does this look like a game you would like to play? Or did you hate this game because of the combat or corny dialogue? It's perfectly okay to dislike things. I do it all the time. Either way, let me know in the comments. As we wrap up this video, I just want to say thank you for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you got something out of it. Your support really truly means a lot to me, and I hope you'll watch my next episode, which will hopefully be out soon. Hopefully. How many times did I say hope? If you haven't checked out my pilot episode, feel free to do so. In that episode, I review a Pac-Man board game and compare it to the arcade game it's based off of. So that's pretty neat. Anyway, have a good one, folks, and please don't forget to tip the valet before leaving.